Welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all of the places you can find me should be linked in the description box just below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting and spinning and crochet, and for 2020 brand new there will also be a weaving segment. Not every week I'm sure, but yeah, I've started weaving over the Christmas break, which if you follow me over on Instagram you will already know, won't be a surprise. As well as these weekly chit chat videos, you'll also find a few extra videos peppered in. Oftentimes they're related to the fibre arts content, but sometimes not, but they're listed on the channel as the Yarn and Yarns extra videos. As always, a very big welcome and thank you so much for watching this week. It's our 100th vlog. Can you believe it? 100. I feel like I should have cake and balloons and party hats. But I don't. It's just another week. I have been posting here on the channel for coming up to 3 years I guess now. So yeah, this is our 100th vlog. Not the 100th video that I've posted, because with things like Vlogmas and Vlogtober and the 12 cast-ons and the extra videos, there's probably way more than 100, but this is the sort of 100th official video. I don't know. You know what I mean. So yeah, stay tuned, because at the end of the video I will have 2 giveaway winners to announce, the whip along winner and the 12 cast-ons winner, and also I will have a new giveaway, the 100th episode giveaway, which I've been teasing for quite a few episodes now if you've been here for a little while. But I'll chat about that stuff at the end. First off, I'm going to get on with showing you what I've been working on this week. As it's 2020, Happy New Year by the way. I have posted a couple of videos since the start of 2020, but if you're only here to watch the weekly chats, then I have probably not wished you Happy New Year, so Happy New Year just in case. Should we start with something new for the new year? Should we start with weaving? So over my Christmas break I had about 10 days off of work. I spent the New Year's Eve, the last day of 2019, that's a thing then, at my lovely friend Julia's house. Julia, you'll find her as Mindful Magpie over on Instagram. And Julia had been gifted her grandfather's frame loom. And I must have mentioned at some point in the past that I had a loom lurking in one of the cupboards here in my craft dungeon. Although it's at the top of the house, so dungeon doesn't really fit, does it? In my craft atelier? Yes, the craft atelier. I purchased a rigid heddle loom at a charity shop many years ago, probably at least 5 or 6 before we moved here to Wales. And it'd just been sitting in the cupboard and I wasn't sure if it had all the bits to it. And Julia said, well, why don't you come to mine and we'll spend a day trying to figure out this weaving lark together. And so I did, and we had a brilliant day. Julia's loom is beautiful, and there are some pictures of her weaving foray and also her beautiful loom over on her Instagram. There's something so nice about a piece that's been handed down in the family So many beautiful memories, and you can't beat a good sort of well-used piece of equipment, a well-used tool that's, yeah, seen the hands of many crafters in the past, can you? I love that stuff. So yeah, she'd already been super organised and had warped up her loom and was ready to get going, but she's so very kindly helped me figure out how to do mine. And I did a little bit of looking up of my loom before we went, and it turns out that I'd picked up a shacked cricket. It's a 10-inch rigid heddle loom. I'll show you in a minute. And yeah, I picked it up for a real bargain price, looking at what they're listed for at the moment. So even going back a couple of years, yeah, obviously the shop that I purchased it from secondhand possibly didn't know what they had. So yeah, we warped up my loom. It was a bit awkward at first. The first attempt went a bit awry because we didn't make the warp long enough, but in the end I had this like really sort of skinny little warp, and I did a bit of weaving, and here is my first attempt. So as you can see, it is actually a really long skinny piece. So we set the loom up on Julia's dining room table, and then we had to put the peg on a chair across the room, and I don't think we quite realised, I mean, neither of us having woven before, how long this would end up being. So although it's super skinny, it's definitely scarf length. And yeah, just got going and had a really fun afternoon. So I used up some scraps of felted tweed for the weft, and my warp was a ball of garlic meadow yarn, which is a local small holding to me here in South Wales. And yeah, so I used what I had. I had most of a ball left over from a project that I'd made previously, and then these scraps of felted tweed were left over from my Canady wrap, which I made quite recently. And you can see, so this is the sort of beginning of my weaving. The edges are really untidy, and as we sort of progress through, I also have some tension issues. So you can see some places, like here's a good place where I haven't sort of pushed down with the beater as hard in these places, so you see a little bit more of the warp, and then there are other places, there's a bit in the orange section, there we go, where I push down really hard and you can see quite a dense sort of stripe of orange there. So yeah, there's a real art and skill to getting sort of neat edges and being consistent to make a good fabric. And I guess my my learning experiences show up a little bit more because I chose a lighter warp, and the weft colours that I've chose are quite dark for the most part. But actually I think that was a good thing, because if I'd have chosen something that the colours that were slightly more close together, I possibly wouldn't have noticed these issues so much. So yeah, it was a good way for me to kind of learn as I went. I had no idea how to join in ends. I didn't really bother looking up any tutorials on YouTube. We looked up a couple of videos to help us to warp the loom, but yeah, I've just got these kind of like bits hanging out at the end there where I just joined in the new colours. So at some point I will possibly tidy this up. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to make any use of this, or whether this will just be my first piece of weaving for posterity. As I say, it kind of makes quite a cute little scarf. So maybe I will wear it as such once I've tidied up the ends. It was just a really, really fun thing to do. Really enjoyed it. I did a hem stitch, I think it's called, at the edges. I think my last, like the end hem stitch, worked out pretty well. It looks quite neat, I think. The one on the other end, which is the end that I started, not quite so neat. I didn't really know about putting in a bit of sort of like waist weaving. You'll have to excuse me if you're a weaver. I'm not in with all the technical terms yet. But yeah, I've seen now that oftentimes people will weave a few rows with a scrap yarn just to even out the warp before they get going. So yeah, this end is looking a little bit scruffier than the other, but that's okay. As I say, plenty of things learnt in that first piece. And yeah, I think, you know, overall, it's definitely a wearable skinny scarf if I want it to be that. So after that fun experiment, I was really keen to warp up the loom a little bit wider and get a new project going. So that is what I can show you now, if I can find a way to hold it up without everything going crazy. So this is the loom, as I say, a Shacked Cricket 10-inch rigid heddle. All the bits are getting caught in my hair now. And as you can see, my next project is on the loom already, and I'm actually weaving with some of my hand spun, which is really, really exciting. So this is my second weaving project. As you can see, I've warped right across the loom this time. I've probably got a couple more bits that I could have done, so I could probably add an extra ½ inch or so to this width of fabric, but this is almost at the maximum width that I can weave on this particular loom. So yeah, I'm using for the weft a couple of leftover bits of Rowan baby merino silk, which were left over from a sweater that I made myself quite some years ago, the Lucinda sweater, which is an oversized sort of v-neck slouchy kind of sweater from the Madam Maid books. And for the weft, I am using a skein of my hand spun that was recently finished, and I'll chat a little bit more about that in my spinning section. But suffice to say, I am really enamoured with, there's a long way to go on this project yet, but I'm really enamoured with weaving with my hand spun. The texture of the slightly thick and thin yarn, I'm not sure exactly how much it's going to show up on the camera, but it's just lovely. I really love it. These colours in this particular yarn are probably not colours that I necessarily wear very often. However, this is kind of an experiment. So I set up the loom in my dining room using a couple of fixed points. So I used the edge of my dining room table and the lip of our mantelpiece. I'm hoping that will be about scarf length, but as I say, it's a complete experiment, so I thought I would use those two fixed points, warp up my loom and see how long a piece of fabric that gives me. So yeah, I managed to use up all of what I had left of the Rowan silk yarn, which is good. I'm trying to use my weaving to use up bits and pieces that are hanging around in my stash that I don't have other purpose for. And also I have no idea how far my hand spun is going to go, whether 100 grams of hand spun is going to get me enough length to make a scarf, or if I need in future to think about spinning a larger quantity. So yeah, I am hoping to have a usable piece. Worst case scenario, I might use it to make some bags if I don't have a scarf length. And as I say, those particular colours in that combination are not ones that I wear that often. I do have a few sort of pinky purpley type pieces, but not many. So hopefully my next project will be something a bit more orangey and autumnal. But yeah, I'm really enjoying experimenting with that, and I'm going to be interested to see what I get at the end, how long a piece that is, and whether those two fixed points in my house are going to be right for making a scarf. So yeah, that's weaving, guys. I hope you are interested in weaving, and if you are a weaver and you've got any hints and tips, I'd love to hear from you, because yeah, this whole new ball game. If you've got any YouTube channels that you like to watch that have weaving content, I'd be interested to know. I guess that sort of tangents a little bit into spinning, because I'm using my hand spun for that project, so we'll chat a little bit about spinning next. Over the Christmas break, I had to put my wheel away, so I've made no more progress on my combo spin that I'm working on at the moment, but I did get my drop spindles out, and specifically I was using this gorgeous spindle, which I bought when I was in New Zealand from the maker herself, a lovely lady called Tej, who's a friend of a friend, and I went to her house and she let me pick out from her spindle collection that she'd made, and this is a gorgeous birch spindle. I love this, it spins like a dream. And on this I spun up some beautiful fibre from Curio Yarns, who is Ellie, and Ellie you'll find here on YouTube as Curio Yarns. She also has Etsy shop, Ravelry group, so you can go over and find her and watch along with her adventures if you so choose. I would highly recommend it. So I picked up a braid of fibre from her. She's only recently started adding fibre to her Etsy shop, and it was a Poledale blend, which I've never worked with before, and the colourway was called Christmas Gone Wrong. If I have a picture of the braid still, I'll pop it in here. I'm not sure if I do. It was a riot of sort of Christmassy type colours. You can see how the colours are progressing in that weaving, with some sort of undyed pieces in between, which was really nice. It sort of like muted the shades down a little bit and doesn't make it too sort of garishly Christmas. There's a lot of sort of like pinky kind of tones, and as I was spinning through, the dye was sort of like overlapping the staple length of the fibre, so I was getting these really nice sort of like mild effects in the singles. You'll probably just about see that there. So I decided to actually try and keep it as a singles, so to spin it relatively thick. I mean, not, that's probably the thick, like one of the thicker parts, and then there are also some sort of skinnier parts, as you often get in handspun, or I do at least. So yeah, I decided once I started spinning that actually I'd try and keep it as a singles, and I would purposely try and use it as a weaving project. So yes, I managed to get from 100 grams of this fibre, I think it was close to 200 meters of yarn. So those are sort of 2 little skeins that I have left, and I've used almost one more. I started with the smallest quantity that I had with my weaving, so I've still got all of this to pop into my warp. I spun this with quite a lot of twist because I decided I wanted to keep it as singles. So it's a fairly dense yarn. It's possibly not the softest that you'll feel, but it's not like scratchy or horrible by any means. And I dipped it in a really hot wash when I had finished, just to try and full it slightly, so to kind of add a little bit of extra strength by felting the singles a little bit. I wound it up and took it off the niddy noddy. It was quite active and twisty, but in the process of soaking it, I actually did something that I don't usually do, and I weighted it down as it was drying, so that kind of straightened it out even more. I don't often bother weighting things down, but because this was really active and twisty, I gave that a go, and it seemed to work like a dream. So yeah, that was my Poledale Christmas Gone Wrong colourway from Curio Yarns. I also have a spin in progress. My lovely friend Sal came into the shop on Saturday with this gorgeous, really fun sort of Halloween-y cat bag, and inside the bag were 2 spindles and some fibre that she so generously had decided to gift to me. She purchased these a little while ago and said that she just doesn't have time to learn, and has kind of lost a little bit of interest in doing so. So would I like them? Yeah. Thank you, Sal. Mwah. You are so lovely. And I have spun on both of the spindles, and they both spin like a dream. I am assuming that both of the spindles are from the same company. If I show you the card, it's called the Lace Knittery, and the first spindle is it's quite a heavy spindle. I didn't weigh it before I started spinning, but yeah, just it's a fairly heavy spindle, so it'd be a good one for sort of spinning bulky or maybe some art yarns on. And it's just a plain wooden spindle, and as you can see, oh, I've got this really obnoxious yellow that I've spun up. So in the bag was also a set of 5 sort of rainbow bumps of, I think, merino fibre. It feels like merino, in these fabulous rainbow colours. So yes, I couldn't resist, and I had to start spinning straight away. So I have spun through the yellow bump on that larger spindle. And then there was also this beauty, So as you can see, I have also spun through a bump of red, but let me just show you this spindle. This one feels a little bit lighter than the other one. As I say, I didn't weigh them, I just was so eager to get started. But this spindle is gorgeous hand painted spindle with beautiful depiction of lavender and bees on. So that's what the top looks like. There's all these really super cute little bees painted around the edge, and then underneath, which will be a bit more difficult to show because I've got the fibre on there, is another sort of depiction of lavender coming out from that centre point, with some more bees buzzing around. It's just beautiful and it spins lovely. Thank you so much, Sal. I shall definitely treasure these. I'm going to spin my way through the rest of that fibre that came with this. I'm just going to 2-ply it, and I will put it in my collection ready to knit some hand spun gnomes. I think a couple of rainbow gnomes will be really fun, but this spindle in particular, because it's so delicately painted, I have an idea to grab some of my naturally dyed fibre to spin on this, because yeah, it just seems to call for that sort of thing. So that will be the next project on this spindle once I have finished spinning through the rainbow stuff. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of spindle spinning. Crochet, I have one work in progress to show you this week, and that is my granny stripe blanket. If you have been following me for a while, you know I dug this project out of hibernation back at the beginning of December. The lovely Caroline, who is Colourful Creativity and has the Colourful Creativity YouTube channel, and you'll also be able to find her website where she sells lovely hand-dyed yarns and handmade glass beads for progress keepers. She sent me a lovely advent calendar that she'd made herself from bits and pieces that she had left over from her own projects, and I set out to crochet a mini a day into my blanket. I'm really happy to say that I managed to keep up with that, and I stuck to that throughout December. It was a really fun sort of calming project to kind of either start my day or end my day. Yeah, it was just really nice to, and I've added a few more since. So if I just hold this up, my advent started here with this lovely rainbow, and it finishes here with another rainbow, which seems quite apt. So that section there is the Caroline Advent. There are lots of Caroline's own yarns in this section, as well as some undercover otter, and then some like random sock yarns from her stash. So yeah, that's a really, really lovely section of my blanket. And then after Advent, I wanted to try and carry on. I haven't done as much, as you can see, it's this little section here. And I grabbed, at the Knit Tea retreat that I went to in October, I grabbed this bag of minis, so I decided to work through some of those into my blanket. So yeah, that's the sort of little top section here. Actually, another one of Caroline's yarns in that bag, the Pinkies Up colourway, which was a retreat special colourway. I've got 2 more colours to add into the blanket. I've got actually some leftovers from those minis, because I'm trying not to make my stripes bigger than 2 rows long, and those minis were more than enough for making 2 stripes. So I am planning to pass on my leftovers and once again to someone else. But yes, I'm still working away slowly on that project. As I say, not with the same tenacity that I was in December, but it is just hanging out in its basket by one of the chairs in the living room, and I'm picking it up and adding a row as and when, probably at the rate of a row or 2 a week. Probably about 2/3 of the way through the sort of length that I would like to make it. So if I pushed a little bit, I could probably have that off of the hook this year, and in the not too distant future, which would be really nice. I'm itching to start a knitted scrappy blanket again, but I don't want to start another scrappy blanket until that one's off of the hook. So yeah, it's kind of an incentive to get going on that, isn't it? For knitting, I have 1 work in progress and 1 finished object. I actually have 3 finished objects since I last chatted to you. One is a hat for James that he is obviously wearing today because I couldn't find it. So I'll try and make him swap hats next week so I can show that to you. And I've also finished my test knit, my Caledonia jumper, but that I gave a soak yesterday and it is downstairs drying off, and I don't want to fiddle around with that too much until it's dried. It has an alpaca content in that yarn, which has a tendency to like stretch a little bit, so I want to leave that lying flat until it is entirely dried. But that'll be hopefully something for you to see next week. So my finished object is my Lancashire Winter hat, and I'm really excited to say that this pattern was released onto Ravelry yesterday. When I showed this as a work in progress, a lot of people left a comment or left comments on my Instagram to say that they really liked the pattern and were interested to know when it came out. So it's out now, go get yours. It's my lovely friend's first design, so Ruth, and you'll find, if you're struggling, you should be able to type in Lancashire Winter into Ravelry, but if for any reason you struggle to find the pattern, I shall link my pattern page below and there'll be a link to take you across to where you can purchase the pattern. So Lancashire Winter, a beautiful colourwork hat. And I made mine using leftovers from previous projects. So the bottom yarn is Baramu Pip Colourwork, and then the three background colours are Milwaukee Tweed from Kate Davies Designs, left over from a hat kit that James got me 2 Christmases ago. And then the white snowflake yarn is some Women's Institute yarn that I picked up from Hobbycraft Shetland wool that they did a few years ago, probably at least 10 years ago now. I'm not sure if that's still available. I am hoping to put some notes on my project page as to what quantities I used of each yarn, because I did weigh out what I had at the start. I just needed to weigh out what I've got left. So if anyone wants to make a version like mine that's colour blocked and you've got some bits and pieces to use up, then hopefully my notes might help you. A couple of deviations from the original pattern. Obviously the first one is the fact that I used 3 different colours. Ruth's original sample is actually fairly close to this. She used some Lancashire Brew yarns from Charlie Buttons, and she's got this lovely deep sort of chocolatey brown colour for her background, so her hat is kind of like entirely in those 2 colours that you see at the bottom. She also cast on this gorgeous little detail with the contrast colour for 1 row around the brim, and the only reason I don't have that is because I misread the pattern. I'm calling it a design feature, but basically I did not read the pattern when I started testing it, which is not a good sign for a test knitter, is it? I am usually really good when I'm test knitting, and I like to kind of think that I give reasonable feedback, but yeah, I was obviously so keen to cast it on that I just went ahead and didn't read. Sorry, Ruth. So yeah, Lancashire Brew. The other thing that I did entirely wrong, I probably shouldn't admit this on camera, should I? Yeah, if you were thinking about asking me for test knitting, maybe you'll, have second thoughts, is that instead of going this wasn't to do with my reading though, so instead of going up a needle size for the colour work, which is kind of usually what people like to do, I went down a needle size. My excuse for that one is I had not yet got my reading glasses. Couldn't see the little numbers on the needles, and I thought I'd gone up a needle size, but I hadn't. I'd gone down. So yes, Lancashire Brew, all done. Super cozy, warm, and despite the fact that I used the wrong needle size, it still fits my noggin, so no worries. Doesn't look great with these tufts coming out, does it? There are some lovely pictures on Instagram of some of the other test knits and Ruth's own sample, so yeah, ignore my weird hair. Go by this pattern, it's gorgeous. And then work in progress. So having finished my test knit, I was gunning to do that. The test knit deadline is actually next Friday, so I managed to get it done in a week in advance, which is great, particularly as I took time off over Christmas to do my 12 cast-ons craziness. But yes, I managed to get that finished, so I'm now more or less able to work on whatever I want. I've got 1 commission to do for shop work, and also I have 1 pair of secret socks that I'm knitting in the background as well that need to be done by the beginning of February. Other than that, I am free to get back to all of my languishing and new whips. So I decided to start by working on my oldest whip, which is living in this lovely basket that I picked up at TK Maxx a little while ago. And the project is in the Shetland Wool Week annual. I don't know if they have dates. So this is from 2017. So it's quite a couple of years old now. You may or may not be able to find a copy of this. Perhaps someone's having it in a D-stash. But I am knitting. When I got this, I buy them every year, the Wool Week annuals, and I just completely fell in love with the Vermeer Cushion, which is in here. You can see it there, and another picture of it there. I just loved it. Loved the colours. Just love the pattern. It's a pattern by Wilma Malcolmson. And inspiration from the design comes from the Milkmaid painting by Vermeer. I'm assuming she probably took colour inspiration from that painting, and I love Vermeer's work. There is a picture of the Milkmaid in here, but I can't show it to you without giving away the secret sauce, so I won't. But yeah, I started this ages ago. I purchased all the yarn actually from the first time I went to Wonderwall, and Jameson's were there, and I picked up all of the spindrift yarn that I needed for the pattern, and cast on, did a couple of pattern repeats, and then promptly stuck it in a basket, and it got ignored for ages and ages. So I am back to working on this now. Here is my progress. So I only picked this up yesterday, and when I picked it up yesterday I was here at this part where the sort of blue section comes in. So I've done 2 pattern repeats and I need to do 5. So I kind of have a little bit of a stretch goal of maybe getting this finished by the end of January. I've worked out I need to knit 5 rows a day if I am going to do that. I managed 5 rows yesterday amongst doing other things. Warping up my loom yesterday took quite a long time. So yeah, I'm hopeful, but I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself. This project's been on the needles for ages. This is my oldest work in progress, aside from my granny stripe blanket. So yeah, if it needs to wait a couple more months, I'm sure it won't mind. It's getting attention again, which is the main thing. So yes, I've got a lovely basket full of Jameson's in the colours recommended in the pattern. And I just need to get stuck in. My colour work gauge has changed slightly. I can definitely see my stitches from sort of the previous session working on this are slightly sort of tighter than I am now, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. It's a cushion. It's not something that is a garment that needs to fit anyone. So yeah, I'm just going to carry on. I'm definitely not going to rip all this back and start again for the sake of like a homewares piece. But yeah, I'm excited to be working on this. It's a really, really lovely knit. The colour work chart is a really nice rhythmical one. No sort of like long floats or sort of strange patterning. So once you've done a sort of 1 or 2 of the repeats, you can then fly around the rest of the row. It sort of sticks in your head. Yeah, that's everything for all of the stuff that I've been making this week. I'm conscious that this is already probably a slightly longer video than I like to post, so hopefully I can get this uploaded to YouTube. I need to get through this last section without too much waffle. So first off, I want to say, as always, a great big thank you to anyone who has been able to support this channel by making a donation over on Ko-Fi. Since I last chatted, I've received £15 worth of donations, which is amazing. You guys are brilliant. Thank you so much. And I shall be using that money to help me with the cost of posting out the prizes, both for the whip along and the 12 cast-ons, and also today's upcoming giveaway. I've set myself a new goal over on Ko-Fi, and it's the first more selfish goal that I'm hoping to get to if people are able to continue to donate. So I don't know how you guys feel about it. As you know, up until now I have used the money that I've received to do things for the channel. So I bought myself a tripod, battery for my phone when I'm out and about, light, microphone, using money for posting out the prizes. I really would like to buy a new reed for my loom. I got the loom at a bargain price, but I only have the one reed, so that's the bit that the warp sort of passes through, that you move up and down to actually get the fabric made. I have got an 8 dent reed, which is what comes with the loom, and that's good for sort of DK worsted weight yarn. I'd really like to get a 10 or a 12. I think a 10, which is great for sort of 4-ply sock weight yarns, and I've got plenty of that in my stash that I'd love to weave with. A new reed costs £30, so I'm hoping that maybe some of you will be interested enough in the weaving content to help sort of support that. So although it's not directly going into improving the channel, hopefully it's going to provide some fun and interesting content. So yeah, my first kind of slightly selfish goal. We'll see. I have kind of like mixed feelings chatting about that, because I feel like it's something for myself, but hopefully you'll get something out of it as well. Anyway, let's move on before I make a complete hash and mess of that. So winners for the make-alongs that we've had going on. The whip-along winner is Kate, who is Smiley Yama. I'm not sure if that's how I'm meant to pronounce that, Kate. I've already contacted Kate over on Ravelry and got her details for that. She made an amazing selection of projects for that whip-along. She got quite a few finished, and the post number that was generated by random org was number 26, and that was her TikTok toque. And then for the 12 cast-ons, which, thank you so much. I did do a quick tot up on all of the comments that we had on the last wrap-up video, and altogether from the people that have left to say that how many projects that they ended up casting on, between us we put 173 new projects on the needles over the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. So you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for joining me in that endeavour. It was a real pleasure for me to have so much interaction around that cowl. I'm going to leave the thread open so that we can continue to chat about our projects and share our progress. But obviously the prize drawing has now taken place from the number of posts that were already up there, and random.org chose post number 20, which is Maisie17, who is Jane. Congratulations, Jane. And Jane made a start on a Wendy Fern shawl in that post. So thank you so much, Jane. And if you would like to contact me, if I haven't contacted you, I'll try and get onto Ravelry later today. I need your name and address, sort of postage details, please, so that I can get a prize out to you. So yes, please do continue to use that thread to chatter about your progress. I'm contemplating, we don't have any sort of cowls running now. I am contemplating starting one, and I'm wondering if people would like a sort of cowl that maybe lasts for the whole year, where we can put our finished objects from the 12 cast-ons. I know not everyone cast on 12, but that's perfectly okay, whether you cast on 1, whether you cast on 12 along with me. I'm kind of ruminating on that idea. Let me know what you think, or if there's anything else you'd like to see, whether it be a short cowl or a year-long thing. Let me know. I'm open to ideas. For this video I have a lovely giveaway, and I will try and link to the video where I chatted about the giveaway in detail up in an iCard. I have several prizes to give away, including a beautiful prize package for the first number that gets drawn, a project bag from Emma of Eldenwood Crafts, which is filled with goodies that I picked up from various makers at the Knit Tea Retreat. Let me grab that project bag and just show it to you. So this bag is absolutely gorgeous. It's from Emma of Eldenwood Crafts, and she donated this as a prize. And if you know Emma's stuff, you know how well made it is. It's chock full of stuff to give away from makers like Miranda May and Owl About Yarn, Flourish Fibres, Caroline Colourful Creativity, and I have some other prizes to give away of stitch markers and pattern codes for Caroline's Rainbow Bridges socks. She kindly donated quite a few codes, and I purchased some stitch markers to give along with that. So if you would like to be entered, eligible to be in with a chance of winning either this bag or one of the other prizes, then please do leave a comment below. I would like you to tell me what you would like to see. If I was to post your ideal Yarn and Yarns extra video, so a video made just for you, what would it be about? I'd really like to know, because I want to try and add some more of those videos this year. So it can be anything. It doesn't have to be related to knitting, crochet, spinning, weaving. It can be. So if you'd like more spinning content, how I spin, if you'd like me to take you through, I don't know, a knitted project from start to finish, anything really, just leave a comment below. And I am going to be quite strict because this is a lovely prize. So if you comment below but do not give me a video suggestion, then I will take it that you just want to enjoy the chat but you don't want to be included in the prize draw. So if you want to be included in the prize draw, then please leave a video suggestion below. It doesn't have to be, you know, anything new or innovative. Just let me know what you want, because I really want to put up, you've been so kind to support my channel over the years. I really want to put up content that you want to see. So hi, this is Angela from the future. I just realised as I was editing my video that I didn't put a deadline for the giveaway. So the giveaway comments will be valid until the beginning of February. I thought I'd give everyone a couple of weeks to catch up. I know I don't watch all of the channels that I subscribe to straight away. So in the first video in February, I shall announce the winners of the 100th episode giveaway. I think on that note, I shall wrap up this video. Hopefully I'll get it uploaded. It's quite a long one. Maybe I'll break it into sections if for any reason YouTube or my technology won't allow me to post it all as one. But yeah, until next time, I hope that you have a wonderful week. You get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Until I speak to you again, great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now.